May I have your attention, please? Today's defendant is none other than Marie Antoinette, the Queen of France, who has been widely criticized for her extravagant lifestyle while the commoners suffered. However, I must object to this sensationalist slander. Marie Antoinette had limited control over her circumstances and spent her short life navigating the challenges of a foreign and turbulent country. Are you suggesting that she wasn't French? Indeed, Your Honor. Marie Antoinette was born in 1755 as the Habsburg Archduchess Maria Antonia. After the untimely deaths of her older sisters, she became the only viable option for a political marriage to Louis Auguste, the heir to the French throne. At the tender age of 14, she was essentially sacrificed to secure peace between Austria and France. By 1774, when her husband was crowned king, she appeared to have adjusted to this sacrifice. She lived a life of luxury, adorning herself with elaborate headdresses, importing foreign fabrics, and even possessing her own private chateau near Versailles. Meanwhile, France was mired in an economic crisis. Poor harvests led to widespread food shortages, wages plummeted, and the cost of living soared. Marie Antoinette's extravagant tastes demonstrated a complete insensitivity to the struggles of her subjects. But let us not forget that she was the queen. Had she not maintained a glamorous appearance, she would have faced criticism. Moreover, she occasionally employed her image for benevolent purposes. For instance, she convinced the king to be vaccinated against smallpox and even commissioned a special headdress to make the treatment fashionable for all. She also utilized her influence to appoint unqualified friends and admirers to important positions. However, one cannot deny the disastrous consequences of her encouragement for France to involve itself in the American Revolution, a conflict that cost the country 1.5 billion francs. Objection. During that period, the Queen had minimal influence over her husband's political decisions. Furthermore, France's financial crisis was primarily rooted in an outdated tax system and the absence of an effective central bank. How so, you may ask? While the nobility and clergy enjoyed numerous tax exemptions, the peasants were burdened with paying over half of their income in taxes. This oppressive system had already plunged France into debt long before Marie Antoinette's arrival. Her personal expenses were merely scapegoats for decades of financial mismanagement. Nevertheless, it does not excuse the fact that Marie Antoinette spent taxpayers' money on luxuries while the masses starved. The popular claim that she callously suggested the starving populace eat cake instead of bread is highly likely a fabrication attributed to her enemies. In truth, Marie Antoinette frequently engaged in charitable work aimed at alleviating poverty. Her reputation as a heartless queen was constructed upon rumors and slander. Even the most infamous case against her, the diamond necklace scandal, was a complete fraud. Beg your pardon? In 1784, a thief forged fake letters from the Queen to purchase an outrageously expensive diamond necklace. Although the truth eventually came to light, the public had already branded her as a wasteful spendthrift. It is essential to recognize that it was her husband who primarily contributed to France's financial ruin. On this point, we are in agreement. Louis XVI proved to be an inept king. Even as the revolution erupted, and he relinquished much of his power to the newly formed National Assembly, he stubbornly clung to control. He vetoed numerous pieces of legislation, and he received support from his conservative queen. To a certain extent, Marie Antoinette subscribed to the concept of the divine right of kings. However, despite her personal reservations, she made efforts to collaborate with reformers. Sadly, her endeavors were met with false reports of romantic involvement with them. No amount of charitable work could counter this avalanche of slander. Furthermore, the revolutionaries held the king's family captive in Paris, making it impossible for her to engage in meaningful negotiations. One could argue that their actions were justified. In 1791, the royal couple attempted to flee to Austria to gather support and regain power. Even after their capture, the king and queen continued to pass military secrets to their Austrian contacts. Isn't that treason, you ask? Absolutely, and Louis was executed for his crimes, along with 32 other charges. However, regardless of one's stance on the king's execution, there is no excuse for the inhumane treatment that the new government subjected Marie Antoinette to. She was forcibly separated from her son and confined to a cell without any semblance of privacy. The tribunal responsible for prosecuting the queen lacked substantial evidence to support her treasonous acts, so they resorted to baseless accusations of incest and orgies to denigrate her. Nevertheless, she maintained her composure until the very end. In her final moments, she apologized to her executioner for inadvertently stepping on his foot. Despite her refinement, Marie Antoinette stands as a symbol of everything that was flawed in the decadent monarchy, both in life and death. She conveniently became an example of the public's inclination to smear prominent women with their own fantasies and frustrations. So, what I gather from this trial is that Marie Antoinette was essentially guilty of being a queen. Should we judge monarchs based on their personal qualities or the historical roles they occupy? And can even the most powerful individuals become victims of circumstance? These are the profound questions that arise when we subject history to a trial.